Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Pointless Top 10, a show where we make top 10 lists out of pointless things. Why are we flying by this pointless statue in Booty Bay? Because inside pointless things are treasure. Let's begin. 10. Number 10 are the worst jobs in World of Warcraft, and this was a fun one to make because it was a bit more of an unconventional one, right? Like, normally you'll do things like creepy NPCs or spiders or wolves or, you know, something that's very, like, static and, you know, something you can go find in the game. This was a bit more of a... You know, I had to think, like, what are the worst jobs in World of Warcraft? Like, what are people or NPCs doing out there that nobody else would want to do? And so that really made it a fun, pointless top 10 to create. And because of all that, it actually made me do my favorite thing in World of Warcraft, which is going around and trying to find all the little details that you never notice, right? Like, hey, why is that guy over there carrying a bucket around at the Dark Moon Fair? Why are these goblins still repairing Booty Bay all these years later, right? Like, there's just so many little things that you kind of glance over when you're walking around, but when you really stop and smell the flowers, you're like, yo, why is that there? And so that's why the worst jobs are number 10. 9. Number 9 is pointless top 10 Quillbores. And I liked Quillbores because I've done kobolds, I've done murlocs, you know, I've done furbolgs, and they were all really good, but I felt like Quillbore were just something that I learned more about compared to all the other ones. Like, I learned a little bit about each one of those that I just mentioned, but there's just so many little details about Quillbore that I never knew that I thought were really cool. For example, there's the fact that the boar god Agamagon, or however you say it, died, and then his blood splattered all over across the world, specifically in the Southern Barrens. And so where his blood splattered? I don't even know what I'm saying. That's kind of a fun word, though. All these vines started growing up, and so that's how you get Razorfen Downs and Razorfen Crawl. And so yeah, I just think the Quillbore are really cool. They may not be the friendliest or the nicest of the races in World of Warcraft, but I like them. And that's why I put top 10 Quillbores at number 9. 8. Number 8 is pointless top 10 Ancients. And kind of similar to Quillbores, top 10 Ancients was one thing that I didn't really know that much about. Like, I knew Ancients existed and I knew there was a whole bunch of them, but it was really cool to learn about all the Ancients in World of Warcraft and how they came about and all the different Ancients all over. And there are some really cool Ancients, especially some that you've probably never even heard of. One of which is the Coral Ancients that are located in Nazjatar. And I thought, you know, it's a really cool, fun spin-off on typical Ancients. So I thought they were really cool. I talk about them in this top 10. By the way, I wanted to mention that I have done a pointless top 10 before, but that was back in July of 2023. So I actually want to do one of these like every year. It's obviously been like almost 2 years since I made one, but I think doing one every year to kind of go over the most recent pointless top 10s and say which one are my favorites is kind of a fun idea. Plus, then I can do a top 10 of the top 10s, right? So that's why I haven't included any older pointless top 10s in this top 10, because you go watch that top 10 to see the older top 10s. That's why Ancients are number 8. 7. Number 7 are the top 10 things you never noticed in World of Warcraft, and this was definitely the most popular pointless top 10 in the last couple of years, maybe out of all the top 10s I've made, next to, like, I think Creepiest NPCs, but it makes sense because I really tried to find things for this list that people really didn't know, because there's so many things out there on YouTube videos, like things you never noticed, and they're all just like copy paste things of each other. But I genuinely tried to find some stuff that I was like, I don't think anybody knows about this. And believe it or not, I think I did. There was a lot of comments like, yo, I've seen all those videos, but this one actually showed me some stuff I never even noticed. And I guess it helps because I also added some stuff from like modern retail WoW. A lot of the older videos do like a lot of classic WoW or Wrath of the Lich King, you know, back then. But it was still really fun to do. Again, just going around finding things that you would normally never notice. And so I had to put it on this list, and that's why it's number 7. 6. Number 6 was pointless top 10 steps in World of Warcraft. And this is probably not one many people saw coming, but there's a lot of stairs and steps in World of Warcraft. Mind-blowing, I know. But there's some really cool ones, especially big flights of stairs and steps. There's actually some that I didn't know had so much history behind them and so much cool lore behind the stairs and the steps. And then there's also some stairs and steps that are just kind of hidden in the middle of nowhere, or I guess people just don't really know about. Like, there's actually a lot of cool steps and stairs in World of Warcraft, and I'm sure not many people saw this video pop into their feed and they're like, dude, yes, finally, a top 10 video about steps and stairs. This is what I've been waiting for my whole life. But you know what? Sometimes you just got to stop and appreciate the little things in World of Warcraft. Well, actually, some of them aren't even that little. There's some giant, big flights of stairs. So I guess it's kind of a big thing as well. Either way, that's why top 10 steps and stairs are number 6. 5. Number 5 are the top 10 ghosts in World of Warcraft. And this was a fun one because there's some pretty unconventional ghosts, such as the cow ghosts that walk around. I think a lot of people forgot about the cow ghosts in the Burning Crusade. And I try to do themed monthly pointless top 10s. So in October, I try to do like creepy things, abominations, ghosts, cauldrons, etc., right? And Ghost was one of the fun ones because there's actually quite a few ghosts that I never really knew about. And that's kind of the running theme for a lot of these. I just love discovering stuff in a game that I've played for like 20 years that I never really knew about. And some of it's just things in expansions that I never really got to explore that well, like Draenor, right? And some of it's just like Cataclysm quests that I never did. Like there's actually a lot of cool stuff out there that I think people just glance over. And so obviously that's kind of the point of Pointless Top 10, but that's what made this ghost list so fun. And so that's why Ghosts was number 5. 4. Number 4 is Pointless Top 10 Pointless NPCs. And no, I'm not just including this list because my NPC is on the list, but obviously in a pointless top 10, I feel like pointless NPCs is a pretty good top 10 to make. And it was actually more difficult than you'd think because a lot of times you'll see an NPC that seems pretty pointless, but they actually do have maybe a small point to them, right? So I guess a lot of the NPCs on the list do have somewhat of a point. So I guess it should be almost pointless NPCs, but that also doesn't really roll off the tongue very well. But yeah, this is the type of video that could definitely warrant a second video, like even more pointless NPCs in World of Warcraft. But I do like doing different variations of it. Obviously, I've done, weirdest NPCs or NPCs you should know about. Like there's so many types of variations you could do for NPCs, but this was just one of the more fun ones because it kind of tied into Pointless Top 10. So that's why Pointless NPCs is number 4. 3. Number 3 is Pointless Top 10 Undermine. And I really love doing Top 10 Undermine because the zone itself is just an adventure. Like I've loved Undermine. It's so fun to explore. There's so many cool little details everywhere. Like no space is wasted. And I think because of that, it made such a good Pointless Top 10 because when there's no space wasted and the entire zone is just a city, you get so many little, doodads and details all over the place where, maybe normally it would just be a little patch of grass with some trees. Now you have like a little building that's a restaurant, or you've got some animals running around, or you've just got like a whole bunch of weird stuff. And so that kind of really played well into the theming of Pointless Top 10. And so while I don't think every zone needs to be like that, where every little space is filled with something, it is nice every once in a while to get something like this because it's just different than what we normally get. And it's pretty cool. So that's why Pointless Top 10 Undermine is number 3. 2. Number 2 is Pointless Top 10 Rats. And how could I not include Top 10 Rats? Easily just one of the most fun Pointless Top 10s I've made. Rats are just great. There's so many rats in World of Warcraft. In fact, there's been a lot of new rats in the War Within, especially in Undermine. So there's some really cool rats that were in Undermine that definitely would have made the list for Pointless Top 10 Rats. But there's so many great rats that you've probably never even known about in World of Warcraft. And I think after you watch Pointless Top 10 Rats, you might want to go watch, cats and wolves and all my other animal ones, because I think animals often get overlooked as well. There's so many unique animals, not just like generic wolf walking around in the open, right? Although I do appreciate a generic wolf walking around in the open, but there's so many others that are just pets or special animal. In fact, I wanted to do animals with jobs. That would actually be a really fun one. I've got that on my list. I actually have to just go find animals with jobs, but I know of a few right now. So anyway, rats. There's so many cool rats. I love this one, and so that's why Pointless Top 10 Rats is number 2. 1. And number 1 is Pointless Top 10 NPCs you forgot about. I was just talking about how making these NPC top 10s are some of my favorite, right? And this was definitely my favorite one because unlike pointless NPCs, where they don't really have any point, a lot of these NPCs actually do have a point, but people have just forgotten about them. Or maybe, people have moved past them in some way. They've become outdated, or they just live in a place that nobody really visits anymore. And they're actually really cool NPCs. And so I was like, yo, it's so cool to go back and find some of these NPCs that I'm like, this is something that you probably saw once or twice and was like, that's cool, and then never thought of again. And I was like, this would be perfect for a pointless top 10. And this is definitely another one that I want to do a part 2 for, right? Like even more NPCs you forgot about. In fact, I think doing something like dungeon bosses you forgot about would be pretty fun as well. But either way, that's why NPCs you forgot about is number 1. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Pointless Top 10. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Also, if you want to go watch some other Pointless Top 10s, there is the previous Pointless Top 10 Pointless Top 10s you go watch, or you could go watch Pointless Top 10 NPCs you forgot about that I just talked about at number 1. Also, consider supporting the channel by becoming a channel member or on patreon.com/crendor. Okay? Okay. See you.